Do you remember hearing the sound?
You've got mail.
Do you remember the feeling it gave you? That little shot of dopamine as you raced to your inbox on your very first PC? We've come a long way these past 25 years, from the days when electronic mail served as our primary form of communication with longtime friends and distant relatives, to now a world where social media has entered virtually every aspect of our lives. But what happened in between? How did we go from dropping a line to Uncle Joe to obsessing over the perfect filter for our shameless mirror selfie? As a 10-year-old, I live and died by these sounds. The compulsion to race home from school and get on AIM was admittedly my first addiction. My screen name was DancerLM643, and I would spend hours trying to create the perfect color scheme for my AIM profile, where I often featured my crush of the week. And it was through this new platform that I first experienced this feeling that although I was at home on my computer, I was never alone. As humans, it is in our deepest desires to remain connected. In fact, it's how we've survived over the past hundreds of thousands of years. And then around the same time as AIM came MySpace, the ability to put a face to the name. Remember the agony over choosing your top friends for the coveted spaces on your profile? Many friendships did not survive the heartbreak. And then in 2004, Facebook came on the scene. The campus of our life was created. But it wasn't until 2008, with the advent of the iPhone, that the lines were blurred between our virtual life and our reality. Suddenly, a new window was opened into our lives, and there was an audience waiting at our fingertips. We all want to be more beautiful, smarter, more successful, more fascinating. We all want to be accepted. But this is nothing new. Humans have been curating their identities since the beginning of time. Social media has just changed the way we do it. Now we live in a world where we can curate images on our phones in a matter of seconds. And not only images, but our entire lives on a social media feed. When I was a freshman at Vanderbilt University, I had ambitions to pursue a career in the fashion industry. So I started a blog. It was my way of sharing my creative ideas with the world and networking. 4 years later, what began as a blog and shooting photos outside of the Vanderbilt library led to an early career in the fashion world. I was running from show to show, writing for my dream publications, and meeting the designers that I'd followed on social media for years. But there was an entirely different story behind that screen. What you couldn't see was a girl who suffered from debilitating anxiety. Racing between shows, Skyping into classes, explaining to her teachers why she had been late for every assignment. It was a girl who had lost herself in pursuing her dream. What you couldn't see was the depression that was a wedge between her, her family, and her friends. At one point, she couldn't get out of bed for a week to go to class, but she would force herself to get up to take the perfect Instagram photo. She was hiding behind her social media, but realized she wasn't the only one. It was around that time that I recognized social media was a double-edged sword. The average person spends 2 hours a day on social media, and over a lifetime, that's approximately 5 years and 4 months. The rates of anxiety and depression have skyrocketed since the birth of the iPhone. Yet on a more positive hand, social media has the power to change the world. And it was after this experience that I had a light bulb moment. I wanted to bring human connection back into the digital space. I wanted to create a place for conversations that brought us together rather than tore us apart. And that was the beginning of HalfTheStory. HalfTheStory is a global platform that encourages you to share a piece of your life that doesn't usually have space in your standard social media story. Over the past 2 years, we've received over 3,500 stories and built community members in 99 different countries around the world. We've heard stories about dreams that people never thought were possible. We had a girl come out about her sexuality on our platform because she felt like she had a community behind her. And we've heard countless stories about mental health struggles. And all of these individuals have realized that they're not alone. It's the conversations we have today that are going to shape our world tomorrow. Every story we tell has an impact on the person that reads it, the person that shares it, and this digital world we live in. But the key to storytelling is taking the stories we're having online and impacting the world we live in offline. Stories have the power to change, build community, end stigmas, create awareness. What better example than the March for Our Life that happened yesterday? 20 years ago, without social media, the voices of these students would never have been heard in the way that they have in the past month. HalfTheStory exists because I believe that every voice needs to be heard. We have the power to change the world. What side of social media will you be on? As a 23-year-old, I don't have all the answers, but I've made it my mission to challenge and empower transformational storytelling. And so today, I leave you with a few questions. Will you define social media, or will social media define you? Will you be a comment troll or an activist? Are you searching for friends or followers? Are you searching for likes or love? When you get home today, I challenge you to make a list of the 5 most important values in your life, and then look at your social media story. Are they reflected? What's your other half the story? Thank you.